What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with our Dead End Hip Hop solo album review, and today I'm going to talk about the new album from Sadistik entitled Altars. Sadistik is a rapper from Seattle. I've been covering his music since he put out Flowers for My Father back in 2013, and with each release, I personally find his music to be getting better and better. And with this new release, I think he might have completely outdone himself. From the sound, to the content, to the execution, this is something that seriously makes me happy to call myself a fan. The album starts off with the song Voodoo Dolly. It's a dark, kind of spooky beat that's really layered with a lot of compiled elements which work really well together. And at this point, Sadistik has kind of developed a certain style when it comes to rapping. So he comes in with his signature flow. My polar eyes are icy, they polarize what I see. Why they idealize, I idolize, I know that I can die free. What's interesting on this song is when the beat slightly changes up halfway through, Sadistik switches up his flow a bit. Elegy readily telling elegant melodies, yeah, my energy is inner chi, hell is my enemy. Entities of inner peace appease the devil that entered me. Men are seen as menacing, but they end up in entropy. The religious references here are really interesting, especially once you get to the hook. Show me how all the martyrs did, poke me now, I don't want to live. Broke my crown on the stars, holy vows a mirage. Know that man's not my father, hold me down underwater. Referencing Jesus, who was also a martyr, and I believe the poke part to be a reference to while Jesus was dying on the cross, he was poked in the rib area with a spear. Holy vows a mirage. It seems like he's saying that these promises that you're making to a God that doesn't exist, they are pointless. And know the man's not my father seems to fall in line with, you know, the no gods, no masters type of mentality. This kind of thing continues with the next song, God Complex, which is essentially a song that kind of seems to be promoting the idea of living the way you want to. And I get that from the hook where he says, watch him revel in the shit, watch him revel in the shit, devil on the left. Watch him revel in the shit, watch him revel in the shit, devil on the right. He's got a devil on both shoulders, no angel, and he's reveling in it. He's happy to live his life without the influence of the church or maybe religion in general. And for those of you that have studied some occult or pagan or even atheist theories, some of them see human beings as gods, and the idea of the devil simply represents individual freedom. So that seems to be what's being promoted here. I know I'm going in order, but I gotta talk about Free Spirits, man, because it's one of my favorite songs on this album. It was also the first single released, and I knew when I heard that song that this album was going to be a beast. The beat for this song is just glorious. The airy sound with the kind of buried soundscapes, the really nice drums. There's even some subtle guitar work on this track. It's one of the best beats that I think I've ever heard Sadistik rhyme over, and he's doing a lot of really interesting things with his flow on this track, switching it up again in the same verse, especially on the second verse. And I love the line where he says, let's put the cult in culture. I really wish I thought of that, because that line really needs to be on a shirt. Honeycomb is another standout track, a more pulled back and chill beat, some heavy bass, some sporadic cymbal taps, and the song seems to approach the idea of paranoia. And honestly, I'm not sure if the paranoia is a result of smoking marijuana or if the protagonist is smoking marijuana to kind of cure or calm their paranoia. Either way, I love the way the lyrics are laid out here, especially on the hook. My mentality's killer bee, I hide in my honeycomb. My mentality's killer bee, kill or be killed. My mentality is kill or be killed, so he hides in his honeycomb or his house where he's smoking weed to calm himself. And of course, this can also be heard as my mentality is killer bee, as in the insect, which directly relates to honeycombs. Sadistik is getting better and better with this type of wordplay and these type of themes. Now, my favorite song on this album, boy, has to be Salem Witches. Moments like hearing this song for the first time in the span of this album shows exactly what I love about Sadistik. His ability to rock over so many different types of beats, from the more atmospheric and airy ones, the more laid back and mellow ones, and then ones like this, the kind of loud head bobbers, man, loud ass bass, the abrasive sample running through the background. And again, what he's doing with this flow here is really cool. The way he's switching it up again within the same verse. And I think he's really creative as far as the way he lays verses down. And this song shows that very clearly. How he goes from the kind of faster flow, then he slows it down a bit, and then he moves into that kind of playful part where he's like, I'ma make you immolate on a stake pit of snakes. And the hook is just infectious as fuck, man. Of all the songs, this one is the one that gets stuck in my head and does not leave. Say it with us, burn it down, Salem Witches, burn it down. Sacrifice, one of the more atmospheric beats on the album. This is something more akin to what we would have heard on Ultraviolet, and it reminds me a bit of the song Orange, but I actually may like this song a bit more, and it keeps with the overall theme of man's relationship to religion. Sacrifice your gods before your gods sacrifice you. You know, get rid of your dedication to gods because they will keep you from fully living the life you want to live because you're following so many rules. And this can also be looked at more literally. You know, most wars are fought because of man's dedication to gods and religion. So ridding ourselves of this weird addiction to servitude can potentially save lives, literally. There's only 2 features on this whole album rap-wise, and that's Christoph Crane on the track Water and POS on the track Molecules. And I'm a fan of both of these guys, so I was really psyched to see what both of them would bring to the songs. But Christoph Crane, he laid down a great verse on Water. His style, his flow, and his content, I feel like it really, really, really fit. But as much of a huge POS stan as you guys know I am, I don't really feel like he fit the track very well. It almost sounded a bit phoned in. Granted, with this album, I felt like I wanted to hear as much Sadistik as possible because his words really spoke to me on this album and his rhyme patterns were really, really interesting. Silhouettes, perfect closer for this album. It's almost like this is a movie score to some really, really dope art film, and the way the song comes in, it feels like the perfect culmination of all the emotions that we just went through listening to this album. And I love the final line from Sadistik where he says, they told us we could be anything, they always lied through their teeth, they told us we could chase any dream, and then we died in our sleep. Overall, I found this record to be fantastic, man. I think the nuances, the details, they're really something to pay attention to, from the small things within each beat that contribute to the overall sound of the album, to the small lines or ad-libs that contribute to the overall theme of this album. I feel like everything seems to be perfectly placed, even down to the sequencing of the songs, man. The way the songs roll into each other is clearly intentional, and they flowed super well. The instrumentals on this album are all great. The producers, they all put their asses in these beats, man. There's not a single one that felt slouchy. And the theme of religious criticism, the importance of self-reliance, I found that to be really refreshing, especially the take on religion and how it was approached, because not many rappers tread on the darker side of things without falling into that horrorcore category with dudes like Necro and Gore-Tex and King Gordy and that kind of shit. Nothing against those guys, but it's just nice to see someone approaching the darker end of the spectrum from a more creative and intelligent frame of mind. But all in all, I have no real gripes with this album. I enjoyed every single song, every moment on this bad boy. I know that it's not a cool thing for a music critic to say. You know, we're supposed to find, you know, things to complain about, small little bits and pieces to pick apart. Otherwise, our opinions may not be taken that seriously. But I'm a music fan first, you know, before anything, and I'm not afraid to simply be a fan and admit that I think this record is amazing. It's easily his best work yet, and it's definitely something that I think a lot of you guys should give a listen to. So that's it. If you guys have heard this album, make sure you drop some comments in the comment section down there. If you've not heard this album, click the link that I got in the description section down there. Listen to it, then come back and let me know what you guys thought. Alright, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. Please don't die, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright? Peace, bitches!